Alright, welcome back to the This Old Relic shop. Today, I get to stand on 2 feet and not have to be on my knees working on something. Today we're going to tackle this. This is my 2005 GMC Envoy. This is a vehicle that kind of has a special place in my heart. I did a video wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. It's now after New Year's and it's still sitting here. And it's causing a lot of problems because we only have 2 cars, and the other one's my pickup truck, and my wife doesn't like driving with the snowplow on, so I'm constantly having to pull that on and off, even though I have to go out 10 minutes later because she has to run an errand or something like that. So I want to get this car fixed. Got the new water pump to put on. I have a Haynes manual to follow because I need to do this right because I don't want to put everything back together. But the first thing we got to do, remove the clutch fan, and the first thing, even before that, is the shroud. I took a couple of the bolts off. I think this upper radiator hose is causing me problems, so we're going to pull it off. I don't think there's any radiator fluid in it. I think I leaked it all out already, so hopefully we won't make a mess. And I got some new pliers too. I haven't been able to figure out how to quite get this shroud off. And I believe this should help me. Radiator removal installation, water pump. Yeah, disconnect the battery cable. I never understood why they always tell you to do that. Drain the cooling system. I've drained it. Trust me, the cooling system's drained. Remove the radiator support shield if equipped. That's what you tell me. Remove the radiator support shield if equipped. Well, it's equipped. And that's all you're going to tell me on that. Not send me to another section or anything? Great. So we're going to have to figure out how to get this radiator, equipped radiator shield off. And it just does not want to come off. I've taken the 2 top bolts off. Looks like there's 2 pins on the bottom. The hoses that attach to it have been pulled off. There's a clip up here. This side wants to move. This side doesn't. I think I figured out the housing is getting caught on the fan. In order to get the fan off, I have to get the housing off. In order to get the housing off, I gotta get the fan off. Thanks, GM. You're swell. So, I'm gonna try to see if I can get the fan off without getting the housing off. There's a couple bolts. It's not gonna be able to come completely off, but maybe I can loosen it up enough so that I can at least slide it back and be able to get this housing out of here. Now, I know you can't see this, but there's actually some bolts on the back of here, and a ratchet doesn't fit. So I have to go grab a wrench. Got my wrench. Let's see if we can actually pop it off. So there's 4 bolts actually holding this fan on. That sounded good. I should be able to find that one later. So I'm going to go get all these bolts off, and hopefully the fan works. Hopefully everything works how I intend it to. So, number 3. And you'll find out sooner than I will. Alright, so this is what we're working with here. This shroud here has to come off completely with the clutch fan. Right here, that big thing there is the bolt. Currently, I don't have a wrench big enough to put on that. I don't even have an adjustable wrench big enough to put on that. So I might try a pipe wrench, and if that doesn't fit, I'm going to have to go out and buy some new tools. I probably should buy some new tools anyways to be able to put that back on. Okay, so it's been actually a couple days. I've been procrastinating on this as much as I possibly can, and it's about time I finally get this job done. So we ran into a few issues. One of the things is that wasn't it, but that's going to be an issue down the road. I didn't have a wrench big enough, so I picked up this one, and actually I think this is the bigger one. I also got a 12-inch, just in case, but I do have some vice grips on there right now that seem to be holding pretty good, so I should be able to just grab it on that, and they're already on there. The other thing I was missing was a strap wrench. So when I started to turn it on thing, the belt was not holding it. The serpentine belt was not holding it. So I ended up getting some straps. I had gotten one of these once time before for a lawnmower. I don't know what I did with it. It's somewhere. So I probably put it in a really safe spot so I remember where it is, and now I can't find it. That's usually how that works. So we're going to go ahead and torque on the vice grips. Actually, first let's get this belt off. I'm hoping I didn't screw everything up by taking everything apart and have to put everything back together in order to get everything taken apart. We'll see. I don't know how well this is coming up on the camera, but here are the vice grips right here. They're on there, and if I turn it, it basically turns everything. So we gotta get the belt off, and we're gonna have to get that strap on. Alright, to get the belt off, we're gonna use this right here, this nice long tool called a breaker bar. They do make special, things to get in there. They're a lot thinner, so they can fit in there better. I've always worked well with this one. I got the ratcheting for this car for some reason or another. I think it just had to deal with how far I had to get it pulled back or something. But it's pretty simple. You just kind of push on that, take the belt off somewhere else. I think I just remembered why I got the ratcheting one. Well, we'll figure it out. I'll get it off somehow. Now, I got the biggest strap I could find. I still don't know if it's going to be big enough, to be honest with you. Now it says counterclockwise takes it off. At least that's what the manual says. So I looked it up in the manual, and that part that I was looking for was on the prior page, not the page I was looking on. It would have been nice if they would have just kind of like, I don't know, put a note in there to say, hey, turn the page backwards to see what you need to do. And come on. You want to go. I know you do. There we go. That's there. I'm going to try take two. I think I was spinning it in the wrong direction. I'm going to use the actual adjustable wrench. We're still going to try to use the strap wrench. If it keeps spinning, I have to figure out what I'm going to do next, because that's, according to the Haynes manual, how you're supposed to do it if it keeps spinning, is to use a strap wrench. So we're going to start all over again and use the actual adjustable wrench, and hopefully that will kick it over. I'm gonna go regroup. I have to. I've been busting up my knuckles, so I have to go take care of that and put on some band-aids and stuff, and get my hands cleaned up. I'm gonna regroup because right now my solution is a Sawzall. That's about the next thing that I can come up with. So I'm going to put my mind to it and maybe just put some of this stuff back together and see if I can do it then. But yeah, that thing does not want to go, so my next option is I cut it off and just replace the clutch fan. Wonder how much one of those cost. I got a little frost on the lens. It's like really cold out, like 3 degrees out. So, man, I just can't get this camera right. Okay, we're actually 2 days later, and I tried buying the special tool here to get that nut off, to get the clutch fan off. Didn't work. So I'm down to the next plan, which is to buy a special tool. I figured while I'm at Harbor Freight, this would be a good time to talk to you and use this video as, well, how to get started in doing all this. If you've never done this before, what do you do? So, went to Advanced Auto, got this. They were supposed to deliver it to my house via DoorDash. That became a mess. I just went and picked it up. Advanced Auto did not do well for me again. They just seem to never be able to do anything good for me anytime I try to use them. I don't use them very often because of that. But while I was messing around, I broke this little thing here. Now, this little thing is a happy accident, I guess you can say, that I broke this. This has been throwing a code for a long time, and I haven't been able to find this part. This is the cam positioning sensor. I went into the auto parts store one time. They told me I didn't have one. I ordered one, couldn't find it, ended up returning it to Amazon, and that was that. Finally found it. It's cracked. This will actually, if I had both hands, oh, there it goes. It comes apart. I ordered a new one of those, so we're going to go pick that up today and go pick up a new tool. I went to my wife yesterday. I'm like, oh, I got to buy a new tool. She's like, yeah, like you're upset about that. I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of am and kind of not, because now I have to make another trip out to go pick up a tool, and wasn't planning on it. So there's more I gotta spend, and while we're at the tool store, I'll go over, the basic tools that you really need to get started, and how to tackle that from there. So we'll do that. We also got to pick up some kerosene for the heater. I haven't run out yet, but I know I'm going to. And it's like 3 degrees outside. I think it hit -3 last night, so it's cold, and I'm going to need the heater. So we got a lot of errands to run, so let's get going. Yeah, it's a cold day today. It's actually kind of warm compared to what it's been, but it's still a very cold day. Alright, so this is our agenda. We have to go to the Scout Shop, we have to get kerosene, we have to go to Harbor Freight, we have to get gas in the truck. Got in the truck and gas lights on. I also noticed my Bluetooth phone is not connecting to my radio, which means my wife has commandeered my vehicle now. So time is of the essence. I got to get this thing up and running. Over here at the gas station, I got my blue can. We're actually going to go fill up the kerosene can here, and I'll get everything going. I need 2 hands for this, and I gotta flip the camera around anyways. So, got this. Lift that handle. There we go. We're back to 0. You might notice I got the red can back there. I'm running a little low on gas, which we're going to take care of, just not at this station. This city actually tends to have a little higher taxes. And I want to try to make sure to get this can all the way full. Can I see in there? No. It's dark. But we got, there we go. That should pretty much do it. 4.799. Put that down. One of the things that when you get in kerosene, they tend to have the most archaic pumps. This one's actually fairly new. But we got our blue can full, so we'll be able to keep warm in the garage. Okay, so at Harbor Freight, they're having some stock issues, and apparently they're not getting new stock for a while. Their warehouses are like empty and stuff like that. But I kind of wanted to go through and talk to you a little about tools. And you see this right here, this 130-piece tool kit. It's a little misnomer because they come with a bunch of like nails and stuff like that they count as the 130, but it's about a $40 tool kit, and it gives you everything that you would need to get started, really. And it's still a good price, even though most of the 130 pieces are nails and screws and things like that that they add into the kit. So that's what I would recommend if you don't have absolutely any tools. But if you look through that and see what's in there, you probably already have some of that around. Basically, a socket set, some wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers is what you're going to need to really get started. So that's pretty much the key thing. When it comes to tools, anything you need, you just go out and buy it as you need it. Every once in a while they don't have it, like today, for instance. I'm over here trying to pick up an air hammer and they don't have it in store. So I just checked Menards. They have a few on the shelf for a few bucks more. I'll just go over there and go get it. Oh, Harbor Freight always seems to get you every single time. Went in there, they did not have the air hammer I'm looking for. I looked it up on Menards. Menards has some, so I'm going to go get it from Menards. It's a little bit more money, probably a little bit better quality too, but it'll get me what I want and what I need tonight. So I'm going to go and stop off at Kroger. We are, 0 miles to empty, which is across the street. It's actually not Kroger, it's Mariano's, but that's what Kroger is in my area, is Mariano's. So they usually have pretty cheap gas. I'll probably go out to Menards and find out that they have, well, actually I'll probably just go to the Menards up the road instead of, I'll probably just go up to Menards up the road instead of going to the one I normally go to. So, which is the one I checked, but we'll check there first, and then if not, I know where there's some in stock. So we'll do that. Getting gas. So what I'm going to do is actually pull out, I got an app on my phone for this. I like to record my gas mileage, and the reason why is I'll tell you if there's a problem. So if you don't do that with the gas, and you're looking to work on your own car, that's something you should start doing, is recording your gas mileage. Because that will tell you if there's a problem. Typically a car will get up, and if you just even reset the trip, typically a car will get 250 to 300 miles on a gas tank if you fill it up. One thing I hate about Kroger's pumps is they're absolutely, completely, really slow. And when you're trying to get 27 gallons worth of gas in your truck, it takes a while. Alright, at the local Menards here. And I'll get that out of the window. So, I'm going to get the tool that I need. What's nice is they do have the 15% off bag sale. So if I do find it here. Oh, I got distracted. Shiny wheels. So, I'm getting texts from my wife, probably because she's looking at the checking account, seeing I'm spending way too much money. So here are air tools. And so these have been the two choices of air chisels or air hammers. And I'm going to go with the Sanborn. It's 20 bucks more. It's about 40 bucks as opposed to 20 bucks. However, it seems to be more powerful, more heavy duty. I only want to buy one once, and unless it breaks, and then I'll buy another one. But ultimately, we're going to go with the Sanborn only because I think it's going to do better for my whole process. And I believe this one also comes with the chisels where this one doesn't. Oh no, it does. There it is. But this one has a better mounting and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to go with the Sanborn, which is a little bit more expensive. I'm not known to do that, but I think it's going to be better for our purposes. Okay, so we're out of Menards. I'm going to go head back to the shop. We're going to eat dinner and then put some kerosene in and, get everything set up and started for this. One of the things I should note about tools is, when you're first starting off, don't go out and buy really expensive tools. If you talk to your mechanic buddy, he'll be like, oh, Snap-on's the only kind, or Matco or Mac or whatever tools that they use is the only kind of tool to get. There's a reason why they target professionals for that, and they're good tools. Don't get me wrong, I have some Snap-on tools and some Matco tools in my toolbox, but they're usually were finds from garage sales. Go ahead, Pittsburgh. This is the way I break it down. So if you move a Snap-on ratchet, it'll move more fluidly than, let's say, a Pittsburgh. They both are 72 tooth. The Snap-on ratchet is definitely a more fluid ratchet. It's definitely built a little bit more heavy duty than the Pittsburgh. When it breaks down to it, though, or should I say when the tool breaks, the warranty is the same. So you might end up having to make a few extra trips to Harbor Freight to get a tool replaced. But it's also one of the easiest ways to replace the tools, just to be able to go into the store, go to the teenage girl behind the counter that is not getting paid enough to deal with you and argue with you about whether the tool's broken and that kind of thing, and they'll just go and give you a new one. So that being said, I think Harbor Freight is probably the best deal, especially for someone just starting out. Don't go hog wild buying really expensive tools because, there's more fluidity in a Snap-on ratchet than let's say a Pittsburgh, but ultimately, does it turn the bolt? That's what you need it to do. As long as it does that, you just need it to do the job. So how much you pay for it doesn't matter as long as it does the job. We came back to the shop, we had dinner, and then I remembered something. I forgot something. Fortunately, I didn't forget it at a place that I've already been to, but I forgot to go pick it up in general, so we got to run out to AutoZone and get the timing positioning sensor that I ordered. So we're going to go head out there now. Okay, so we made it back to the shop without the part. I kind of screwed up. So I didn't check the hours for AutoZone before leaving. They close at 8 o'clock. It's now 8:47. I thought they closed at 9 o'clock. I'm pretty sure they did close at 9 o'clock at one time. They probably changed the hours. Everybody's having staffing issues, so they're cutting hours back and things like that. I didn't check. I probably should have checked first. But anyways, back at the shop. Worst case scenario, I put the old part back in just to make sure everything's sealed up. It continues to throw a code so I can actually use the vehicle tomorrow if I can get everything else done today. And then I'll pick it up tomorrow, put it in, and that'll be done. I should be able to access it and everything. I don't understand. It's just hard to see. It's not hard to get to. So, that being said, overall, I can't blame AutoZone. This one was on me. This one was totally on me. But maybe I can go rant and rave to you a little bit about Advanced Auto and my experience with them yesterday. Okay, so we got the new tool. This is an air hammer. I'm done asking. I'm demanding now. Next step is I'm going to go use force on it. So, when you get a new air tool, there's a couple things you need to do. One thing you need to do is oil it. usually have a plug in it because they put oil in it. And you just get your run-of-the-mill air tool lubricant, 2-3 drops. You want to do this pretty much every single time before you use it. They sometimes say oil daily. That's a whole other story in itself. But then you want to get some pipe dope and a fitting, because they never come with fittings, so you got to remember to buy the fittings. I like to use brass fittings. They just seal better. The air seals better in it. This one actually came pre-doped, so we're just going to put that in and tighten it down. And it should fit. Screw it in until it won't screw anymore. And that'll be all set up. When you put oil in it, you can just put it in through the fitting. So, some of the manufacturers say oil daily. I was actually in a group where somebody asked a question, do you actually have to oil them daily if you're only using them once in a while? The true answer is no. You want to oil them daily. That's basically for the guys that use them daily. You want to oil them once a day before you start your day off, like mechanics and things like that that work in a tire shop and they put the tires on with them like they're not supposed to. Impact, that kind of thing. Ultimately, if you don't use it daily, you use it occasionally, once a month, once a year. Just oil it before you use it. It'll help keep the parts lubricated. Every once in a while, it's good to actually some kind of gunk. Oil it even if you're not using it, because that'll help keep all the parts lubricated and things like that, and hopefully your thing doesn't rust out. My solution is just buy really cheap air tools, because if I buy a $20 impact from Harbor Freight or wherever I'm getting the $20 impact from, which is really surprising because I actually went and spent a little bit of extra money on this one, and it breaks. You got $20, you go out and buy another one for $20. When you're only using them, you know, not very frequently, the cheap tools make perfect sense. When you're using them daily, then you might want to get the more expensive tools and make sure you oil them daily. So, getting back to that post, all the hilarity just ensued after that. There were all kinds of fun comments. One guy commented, "Oh yeah, I oil it daily. I keep it in my kitchen so I can pull it out while I'm eating my breakfast cereal and oil all my air tools." One guy said, "Oh yeah, I leave it in my bedroom so I can remember to oil it every day." Although this one took the cake. I put them in my bathroom so when I'm taking my morning dump, I can oil them. That was a good one. I have to admit, I wish I would have came up with it, but I didn't. So, that said, this one actually came with chisels. We're going to put that on. This one has a spring back mechanism. Depending on what type you have, it'll connect it differently. And let's see if we can actually get it in. There it goes. And I have the compressor pumped up. It's on the same circuit as the heater, so I'm hoping they both don't go off at the same time. And as far as the brass fittings, I'm going to show you why I like the brass fittings, because I couldn't find the air hose I was looking for. And I found the air hose that I don't like, which has steel fittings on it. And hopefully you'll be able to hear why I don't like them. Well, I'm hoping you don't be able to hear, but you might be able to hear why I don't like them. We're interrupting this program to give you this special news bulletin. If you like this content, I'm asking that you please like and subscribe to the channel and maybe leave some nice words of encouragement in the comment section. Thank you. We now return back to our regularly scheduled programming. Ready to get started on this. This is the hose I absolutely hate. It's a PVC hose. I bought something to replace it and I can't find it. For some reason, I only used it once. For some reason, I can never find it ever again whenever I need it, and then I find it as soon as I get done using this one instead. But this one actually has the steel end on it. Now, when I plug in this device, probably because it also has a steel end on it, it tends to leak. I don't know if it's going to do this with the brass fitting on this one. Oh yeah, it's leaking. we're going to go ahead and get in there and pound the sucker off. I'm not asking anymore. We're demanding. It moved. Looks like that did the trick. So online they said that this was going to be hand tight. I just tried it with my hand. It was not coming off, but it's moving with the wrench. I'll take my time and do it this way. Alright, rule number 2. Don't force it, get a bigger hammer is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is don't force it, get a giant pry bar. So what's happened is I got the nut backed all the way out, but it's still kind of pushing it. It's pushing up against this guard, and it's just got that little lip that it's holding on to on the edge of the threads there. It's all loose. It just doesn't want to maneuver out of there. Alright. Oh. So this is going to be the next thing you got to understand about working on mechanics. It's never your fault. Remember that. It's never your fault. It's the engineer's fault that designed it. So this is one of those issues. It's not our fault. It's the engineer's fault. Oh. Success! Finally! What was it, 3-4 days? And that's out. So I probably should note, this is my first time doing this with a water pump that has a clutch fan on the car. Every other vehicle that I've replaced a water pump on has had an electrical fan. So this is pretty much not even... That's just basically not even there. So, well, let's see. You can see we got lots of space in here now to go ahead and work. And we can finish taking this pulley off. I'll take this thing, get this belt off so we can actually get that pulley off. Lost the light. And okay, here's our water pump. So you can see there's still antifreeze on the block. So it's definitely been leaking from that area. I'm guessing it's the blow-off valve, but I don't know if you can see the movement in there. You probably can't because it's quite a bit. If not, you should be able to hear it. That's because the bearing in the water pump is gone. Alright, so we just need to take those suckers off, and we should be ready to go. Okay, well, I'm waiting for a battery to charge in one of the cameras. This is cycled off, the heater is cycled off. I'm going to go put some kerosene in that thing because I know it's really low. Man, that thing was thirsty! So one of the things I know guys really don't like are these little red tabs on these cans. They actually they come right off, or you can break them off if they don't. But I don't recommend that, obviously. That's a safety feature. We want to make sure we're safe. So we should never just leave that off. But the spring-loaded and everything will still work, even without it. And you don't have that extra button to mess with if you decided so to do that. But I mean, obviously, you guys, nobody would do that because that wouldn't be as safe, right? One of the other things we can do is I really marked that thing up with the air hammer there. It's really nicked up. All I'm going to do is take a file and just round off some of these edges just so it doesn't get me in the future. And just get that all cleaned up. Figured out how to get some juice to the camera. That cord's going to be annoying, but either way. So we're going to go ahead and remove this water pump. It's so nice having all this extra space in here. I'm actually going to use this thing. You don't need it's a 10mm socket, but this is actually designed for screws. I just put an adapter in it to be able to put a socket on it. So it's not the most powerful, but it does the job. Oops, was not planning on that. So, maybe we could see this a little better. That bearing is definitely gone. One of the things you want to look for when you got this sucker off is see if you can find any. Kind of look in there, maybe wipe out the inner harness or case and see if you really need to flush out the radiator or anything. If it looks like it does, well, just pretend like you didn't see it and move forward. We probably won't do that anyways. But if it does look like it needs flushed, maybe you want to consider flushing it. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But old water pump is finally out. Once that clutch fan came out, everything is really nice and smooth. So I'm going to go grab my gasket scraper. We're going to clean up around the edges here. And yeah, we'll be ready to put the new one on. Pull out the gasket. That looks nice and shiny. We're going to need that. Well, maybe we'll leave that on for now, just to protect the threads a little bit. But after consulting the manual, which I have over here, let me just double check. By the way, guys, gals, everyone, them theys. These are a wealth of knowledge. So actually, this is the one for this vehicle. You know, on my channel, I usually do lawnmowers. This is for single-cylinder L-head. This is a Briggs & Stratton manual. You know, they make several ones. This is the L-head. The OHVs are really good to have, and the L-heads, if you're working on a lot of the older engines, are good to have. This manual and the one for the OHV, which I got to get an OHV one. This one is for my pickup, and I actually have one too for Tecumseh. This is the overhead valve for Tecumsehs. So dealing with these manuals, there's basically two types of these manuals. There's the home shop repair guys, which that's what this is basically is, and then there's the dealer mechanic one. That's the one that's put out by the manufacturer. This particular vehicle, I have the dealer mechanic in a PDF, which is awesome, by the way, to have that in a PDF. It gives you everything. Every little nut, bolt tells you how you can repair any little thing on the truck. It's a great value and resource to have. I couldn't afford the actual manuals. It's probably like a 2-3 volume set when you actually buy it in print. I do like the print version, so that's why I went with the Haynes manual. I use Haynes when I deal with cars, and the reason why is because I'm used to it. I've always used Haynes manuals. It's what I'm used to. They're also a lot easier to come by than the Chilton's manual, which is the other type that is used for like the home mechanic. Every once in a while I will take a Chilton's manual or something out because the Haynes manual will tell me to go to the dealer to get something fixed. You go into the Chilton's manual, they'll tell you how to do it. Sometimes in the Chilton's manual they'll tell you to go to the dealer to get it fixed, and you look in the Haynes manual and they'll tell you how to do it. The only manual that'll tell you how to do it every single time is the dealer mechanic manual, which you have to be very careful with those because there's a lot of things that require specialty tools and things like that. And these manuals will actually say, go get it serviced by a professional. They'll tell you that right out instead of trying to do it. Although these also can put you way over your head. I was just looking in this manual of the engine overhaul methods, which is actually in this particular manual. Chances are, if you're just starting out, you're not going to be overhauling an engine. I recommend starting with oil changes. It's easy. You can look at a YouTube. They're pretty straightforward. You don't really need the manuals for those. You can, like I said, go to a YouTube video. I'm sure you can find one, how to change the oil. Funny thing is, my dad, every single one of his kids, had to know how to do two things on a car before we could actually start driving it. One was change a tire. And that seems pretty obvious. You get a flat on the side of the road, you want to be able to change it yourself. The other one was change oil. I never quite understood that one myself personally, but me, my brother, my sisters, they all got a lesson in how to change the oil in a car. And honestly, to be honest with you, you get the $20 coupons for an oil change, you're saving yourself $2 by doing it yourself. So that's something to keep in mind. Unless you're paying exorbitant amounts of money for oil changes, it's about $18 to go to the store and buy the filter and the oil yourself. If you get the fancy oil, it's probably even going to put you over 20 bucks. So that's something to kind of keep in mind with the oil change thing. As far as my vehicles are concerned, so each one of my vehicles has been in the shop once in their lifetime since I've had it. Now the truck I've only had for about a year and a half. So that's actually saying a lot. But what I sent it out there for was actually an oil change. That's the only time it's ever been in a shop. It was really cold. It was snowing. I wanted to get the oil changed before I went plowing. So, and I can't fit the truck in the garage and close the door and turn on the heater and all that stuff. So I took it to a shop to go do it. Yes, there's actually reasons why I did that. This one was actually an AC charge for this vehicle. And I don't have the equipment to draw down the AC. I might get that, I don't know, but we'll see. So I took it into the shop to actually have it drawn down and refilled and recharged, and it still didn't fix the problem. I ended up bringing it back home in the heat without air conditioning. It was a 5-hour drive, and what I ended up doing is shimming up the compressor, and it worked beautifully. That's a whole nother ball game. But this is one of those things that if you're going to start working on your vehicle and you've done some oil changes, like I like it, I want to move forward, get yourself one of these manuals for whatever vehicle you own or will be working on regularly. Even if they're lawnmowers, they come in it. The fun thing about the lawnmowers, all you're going to get is the dealer, so to speak, the dealer manual. You're going to get the manufacturer manual that was put out by the manufacturer. They don't really make aftermarkets for those. So it's a little bit difficult to follow. I prefer Haynes. Because that's the other thing too, is because I'm used to them. I understand their instructions better than Chilton's. Chilton's kind of seems a little bit more technical than Haynes. But yeah, go to your auto parts store and you can pick one of these up at your local parts store. And if they don't have it, you can actually contact Haynes. They put in the back of them a list of them. You can usually find these too at your local public library if you're just trying to, get started and don't want to make the investment quite yet. Try to figure out if you want to actually do it. But there's a list in here. Like for instance here, Triumph, Spitfire, all models 62 through 81. My dad actually bought a Triumph Spitfire. He's got a Haynes manual for it. And that was one of the reasons why he went with the Haynes manual, because that's what he was able to find for it. But they actually make it. He called up Haynes. They don't have a 64 Spitfire manual over at AutoZone or O'Reilly's or anything like that. He had to go call up Haynes, and Haynes basically charged him and sent him one. So there's a million ways to get them. Local public library, if you're strapped on cash, should have them. If not, I'm sure they can find one somewhere in the system to go get one. So that's the other thing you need if you want to start working as a home mechanic. So, yeah, we got the water. This is supposed to be a really easy job. Go figure. I just put down the Haynes manual. I said I was going to look something up in that, didn't I? Now, the thing is, a lot of people will use razor blades or something like that to try to cut these off. I don't recommend that. It's very easy to slip, cut yourself, hurt yourself, end up in the urgent care. I just find wire cutters work very well. Boom, done. And I got all my fingers and no extra thread in them. Now, I only picked up one tube of RTV, so I don't know if this is going to be enough. I might need to pick up like 5 more. I'm joking. It says thin layer. Oh, nice! So, I got the gasket, and the gasket's ripped. So what I'm going to try to do is use the old gasket. I don't necessarily always recommend doing this, but that looks like it's metal. Ooh, fancy. So we'll get this cleaned up, and we'll use the old gasket. considering I was going to use a paper gasket as opposed to a metal gasket, I might actually put the RTV on the actual gasket. Okay, time is of the essence here. We only have like an hour or so to get this gasket on. One of the things to look at is I believe this is supposed to go on the bottom. Ultimately, there's a lot of holes too in the engine. You want to make sure you don't cover those up with RTV because that's how the water's getting into the water pump. Remember what I said, Ugga Duggas is not a proper torque spec. 6-cylinder, 89 inch-pounds. So we are going to go ahead and take this, just kind of get them snugged up, and then we will go ahead and get the torque wrench out. Make sure they're right. That at least starts to seal up my RTV where I want it, which is a big deal. So I'm going to go grab the torque wrench and set it to 89 inch-pounds, and we will get those tightened down. All set and ready to go. And when you do this, I actually want to do it in like a cross pattern. You torque most things. Star pattern, however they like to call it. Yeah, we should be good. So we got all those torqued down to spec, and the reason why is you want everything to sit flat and flush, and you don't want one side pulling more than the other, otherwise it's not going to seal properly. Radiator hose is on. Where's this electrical connector? We'll put that back on. Everything's bolted in. We have no extra bolts. This is good. All it means, if I did it, it means I put it back together better than the engineers designed it. And we just got to get all this mess cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to start it up and put some radiator fluid in it. Okay, let's let it crank. It's gaining temperature, so that's good. It's just doing it very slowly, which is also good. Okay, so we made it back. We got it parked. There weren't any cooling or heating issues. So all that's left to do is tomorrow morning when everything cools off, check the overflow bottle, make sure that the level's correct in that, and replace that sensor once I pick it up from the auto parts store, and then we should be ready to go. Back on the road, finally. So we started by talking a little bit about if you wanted to get involved with fixing things, how to do it. There's a few more things you need to know, and I need to finish off this video with that. One thing is, you're going to come up with problems. If there's anything that you're going to find from watching this channel is you're going to come up with problems. I don't hide the problems. I put them up on YouTube for everybody to see because I want you to know you will find problems, and more than likely, nearly every project you do, something's going to happen. So that's one of the reasons why I do that is I don't want to put this unrealistic view of, what it's like to work on these things. However, don't let that discourage you. Anything can be fixed. If someone else can do it, so can you. So anything can be fixed, and I'll be honest with you, I mean anything can be fixed. The only reason why things don't get fixed is typically because the money that it costs is more than the person wants to spend to fix it. So that ultimately is the reason why things will sit and why things just kind of get scrapped because they just don't want to put the money out for it anymore. Yeah, don't worry. I do believe there is a threshold. Everything's got its useful life, and there comes a point in time where it's really not worth putting the money in because you just won't get it out of the machine. So it's better to replace the machine. Like I said, with tools, I mean, as you need tools, you come up, you buy them. You don't have to sit there and buy a full set of mechanics tools day one. It just doesn't need to happen. So just if there's tools you think you might need in the future, maybe make a little wish list on the Harbor Freight app or an Amazon or something like that, and just put it away and then come back to it every so often. One of the things to note too, you can rent tools. Now, you may have heard this term rent tools before. Okay, I don't think anybody's ever explained the tool rental from a lot of the part shops. So what it is they have a certain amount of tools that are kind of specialty tools. You don't use them very frequently as a home mechanic. They will rent these tools out to you. This is how it works. You pay the full price for the tool. Upon return, you get all of your money back. So when they say rent tools, you're not really renting them, you're borrowing them, but you're putting a deposit down on the borrow. So that is a, quote, tool rental from a lot of the parts stores. So it's not like you are actually paying money to borrow the tool. And if you're wondering, well, I don't want to tie up my checking account or something like that, one of the tricks that I do, I put it on a credit card. Because I put it on the credit card, they charge the credit card, and that goes through right away, like everything. But when you go to return it, it usually takes a little while to come back. Usually I have bought the tool, so to speak, used the tool, and returned the tool, and had that money refunded before I incur any interest charges. I mean, every card is different, so I don't know what yours is like. But that's my little trick to kind of get around it. So that's just in a nutshell. Don't get discouraged. There's always problems. And if you have a problem, just remember, blame the engineer. All right, have a good night. I will catch you next time.